Now, the video that I'm creating today is just so different from anything that I've ever created before. And I guess there's a few reasons why I've created this video. Firstly, it's to recognise the amazing life of my elder brother Jace, who passed away from leukemia in September of this year, 2023. And it was a massive, massive shock to the whole family that Jace got leukemia. He'd had a brilliant track record of health, wasn't a smoker, wasn't a drinker, was heavily involved with sport and activities. In fact, he'd had one day off, I think, from work in about the last 20 years. Even through his schooling, I think he only ever had one day off. So Jace was very, very healthy. He was a plumber by trade, and in April 2022, just developed a chest infection and didn't think too much of it. Went and got a prescription and antibiotics for the chest infection, but after about a week, that chest infection hadn't disappeared. And so he went back again, got a second dose of the chest infection prescription and tried to treat that. But again, there were concerns that Jace had. It just wasn't going. And so he went back and saw our doctor, and our doctor said, look, I think you better go and get some blood tests done. So Jace went and had those blood tests done, and by the time those blood tests had come back about 3 days later, Jace had got back into a little bit of work because he's working for himself. He was maybe doing 3 or 4 hours for the last couple of days just to get back in. The work had been backing up a little bit. And he received a phone call just after 6 a.m. from a pathologist. And he said, Mr. Nelson, we've got some serious concerns in regards to your blood work. We're very, very worried about it. You need to come into hospital immediately. So Jace went into hospital and was told that he had AML, acute myeloid leukemia, which is a very, very aggressive blood cancer. And they actually were suggesting that he had to get chemotherapy that day. So anyway, to cut a short story even shorter, Jace fought leukemia and he had over 18 doses of chemotherapy. He had over 25 blood transfusions. And in fact, the cruel thing is that in April of 2023, this year, he went into remission. And we were so excited. All the pain, everything emotionally that he'd gone through had got to that point where he was in remission. And Jason and I actually went for a quick little golf trip for a weekend away, and part of being away, he had to just get a regular blood test done, just to ensure everything was all right. Got back, and a couple of days later, he called me up and said, Rom, I can't believe it, but the leukemia is back. In fact, it is 60% back. And what had happened previously, he'd fortunately had a bone marrow donor who'd come. We don't know who she was, but she was kind enough to donate her bone marrow. And in fact, that had been 100% take as well. So that was incredible. So he got the 100% take bone marrow donation, gone into remission, and then sadly, only about 6 weeks later, the leukemia had returned, and a cruel blow because it just meant there was nothing really more they could do. They'd thrown everything at it. The specialists had done an incredible job to try and get Jace into remission, but unfortunately, Jace's health deteriorated from that point in time, and he made that decision to just do what he could with the time he had, and he unfortunately lost his life on September 17, 2023. So emotionally, it was very, very challenging for our family. He was such an amazing person that did so much for so many people. In fact, when he first got leukemia, he set up a lifeblood group through Lifeblood Australia, and his target was to get 1,000 donors for his lifeblood group. And he, fortunately, about 2 or 3 days before he passed away, he achieved that amazing result of 1,000 donations for the lifeblood group. And he's also continued to even since he's passed away, there's been money that's been raised towards the Leukemia Foundation and the amazing work that they do here in Australia. But for me, it's hard to process, and that's what I wanted to sort of talk about a little bit today, and reach out to those people that are having challenges and struggling with losing their loved ones. And Jason and I couldn't have been closer brothers. We did so many things together. We explored different parts of the world together, and it was one of those things where it hit me so hard. You may not have sort of recognised it on my YouTube channels or my courses I've created, because it was my avenue just to try and separate myself. But my mum's always said, Rom, it's not what you dealt with, it's how you deal with it. And so I wanted to ensure that I supported my brother's children and his wife and my parents and my family themselves, my direct family with my children. And so it has been a very challenging time, but it is so hard. And again, I wasn't sure emotionally how I would go creating this video, but I just want to say to those people out there that have a loved one with cancer, and the cruel, cruel thing about cancer is that it can just hit the most unlikely of people. So you can have an excellent track record of health, or you can have had complications before. It can come in the way of skin cancers, bowel cancers, prostate cancer, breast cancer, brain cancers. There's so many different forms of cancers, and it is terrible to see the debilitating effect that it has on the person with cancer, but also the family, both close and extended family. But yeah, it is really honestly such a hard thing to see a loved one go through what they've gone through. And in my instance, seeing my brother go through so many different chemo treatments, and then for him only to be thinking of other people around him. He was so strong, and he set the example from the very beginning of his strength to push through and to just take it head on and to give it his absolute best shot. And in the last couple of months before he passed away, we had an amazing trip where we went to Sydney, and we had an incredible time on that day. And the sad thing was that we pretty much knew that it was Jace's last ever time that he was able to get out and have an outing. And that was very challenging. I remember being quite upset in the last half an hour of that boat trip. It just taking it all in and trying to process it all. And that's continues to be the challenge right now, processing the fact that Jace is not here, that I can't just give him a call or drop around there or have a hit of golf with him or go to a music concert with him. When you lose someone like that, it's hard to process. So I know how you're feeling if you're going through this right now, and I'm sorry if you are, because it's not nice. But have strength. Know that they are with you. They're always going to be with you. They're not gone forever, because they are with you in your heart, in your memories. And one of the things I've learned from this is that life can be taken from you in an instant. And those things that we think we take for, well, those things we take for granted, like our liberties to be able to go and do things, you need to make the most of spending time with your family, going and doing things that you love to do, and just have that time to enjoy life, because life can be very short. We are all at some point in time not going to be here anymore, so make the most of it. That's one of the key things that I've learned through this whole process, is that you just got to make the most of life. Don't get stuck in work and doing heaps of things to generate a heap of money. I tell you what, when Jace's funeral happened, the celebration of Jace, the people that got up there, they weren't talking about the amount of money he made. They were talking about the quality of person that he was, what he gave to people to help them, to mentor them, and to get them through their challenges. His kids spoke about how much it meant to spend time with their dad, to do trips with him, to travel with him, to share experiences, for him to support them, for him to attend ceremonies and events through school. That's what they spoke about. So remember that. People want to remember you for what you give and what you help them with, not how much money you have. No one cares about that when someone passes away. So put things into perspective and just love life and care for those people around you. So I hope this video has helped someone out there, and I'm sorry it's been very different from what I've ever produced before and what I've ever created, but I wanted to create this video in memory of my amazing brother, Jace. Jace, I love you, and I'll see you again one day.